Good morning, everybody. So, this week is going to be a very intense week because I've done a CAP session yesterday. I'm going to do a CAP session today with a level 2 facilitator. So, it's a new experience, and I'm really wondering what that's going to be like. And besides that, I'm also going to do a bufo alvarius session, which is a entheogen, or yeah, you can just Google it. So this coming up now, this weekend, I'm having some doubts, some fears come up. It's like my mind is saying things like, yeah, but Igor, you can just keep doing CAP gradually and allow the alignment to shift, to occur. Why do you want to go for the big guns? And it's really interesting that those kind of arguments come up. There's a pattern that I notice in my life over and over and over again. And it's that whenever something is like just appearing in my life, like an invitation, like do this, just do this. But there's no real, let's say, need from me, like, oh, I need to do this because of this, this. It's just showing up. And because I don't see the, let's say, the value of it, or my mind isn't projecting the value of it, what I do is I put it off as like, I don't really need that. I'd rather do this or rather do this. And what happens is I don't respond to the call, and I try to do it my own way. And when I do it my own way, what's happening is that somehow doing it on my own puts me in a situation where there's an event that makes me feel very stuck and makes me regret not following the stream. Like I should have just done that, should have just done that, should have just done that. And it's like a lesson that I need to learn, to trust that whatever comes. Like I've read the book from Michael A. Singer, The Surrender Experiment, and like reading about it and seeing how he just follows whatever flow the life is streaming, or whatever way life is flowing, and everything is like coming together in these very unplanned ways, like in a synchronistic way, in a very intelligent way, in a whole way. So for me, it's been really tough, and I haven't really talked about it yet, but maybe I should. One of the biggest no, I don't feel like talking about it yet. It's only when your life is in danger that you really start to feel, what is my life about? What have I been doing? What have I been living? What have I been embodying? What have I been choosing? And it's moments like these that truly make you appreciate the journey of life. And it's so very easy to lose perspective, to get lost in relationships, in small events, in big events, in a career choice, a career path, a hobby, all kind of things. Because oftentimes when I'm in alignment, there's a flow by which everything every day is just unfolding, and I'm intimately meeting whatever is happening, intimately. Now this, now this, now this, now this. But if I attach or latch on to something and I try to make myself feel good, I try to get myself into a state, like this is like a habit of mine that's like developed. I don't fully understand it, how it works, but what happens is, after like all my energetic experiences and awakening, there was an ability to shift states of consciousness. So it's like chiropractic. So for instance, let's say I now have a situation right in front of me, and it's giving me a lot of tension or anxiety or fear, or I don't know what's the right choice, right? What I would usually do before was breathe through my belly, feel the fear, and make the best possible choice and go as gracefully as I can through it. Now, after experiencing the freedom, after my different experiences with energy and with the different modalities, I'm not talking about Kappa. It was before that. It was meditation and yeah. What had happened was, all of a sudden there was this ability to observe myself from a third point of view. It's like, instead of me feeling like I'm here, it was like there was a sense of like being aware of the space around me and being able to perceive myself in an objective way. And then all of a sudden I discovered that my mind could give commands to my being. So it was like surrender, or surrender to joy or peace or love or whatever. And what I would notice is, because I was doing it from a reserved state, all of a sudden these commands would just go in, and my body and my emotions and my system would respond. So if I felt anxious about something, didn't know what to do, just surrender to a certain state, and then things would flow and things would get resolved. But then once that wave would end, I would feel again like, okay, but I didn't really deal with it. I didn't really confront it. So the fear, the dynamics inside of me were still not able to let's say, to meet the challenges, right? It was like I transcended it. I used the state to deal with it, but I didn't face it fully, because when I'm in that state, I'm just like in a flow of how can you describe it? It's like an energetic flow that is following a certain timeline, or following a certain kind of energetic that has a certain frequency, and it's responding to everything from a certain frequency. Now, this would get confusing to me, because, you know, I would always have to resort to dealing with what was happening in front of me, what was tough, by going to these states. And then sometimes when I didn't know how to handle with these things, what I would do is I would remember a moment in my life where I was in a certain state, like a very confident state, a very flowy state, a very joyous state, a very loving state, whatever. And I would think of that state and try to put myself into that state, surrender to that state, and then all of a sudden my body and mind and emotions, all and energies would be set like with parameters to that kind of state, and would all of a sudden feel like that. But then in the moment, so there was just a flow then, and the events would still unfold, but I would soon realize I was still not facing reality. I was still not facing what was right in front of me. I was not facing the challenges and not responding to them. I was using a tool to make myself not have to feel the difficulty of it. So I wouldn't have to look at what is inside of me that is causing me not being able to handle or to face what is in front of me. So that would still be unresolved. It would still be there. I would just use a different setting to not feel that and allow things to flow. Now, this has given me a lot of beautiful moments, a lot of yeah, beautiful moments, beautiful meetings, beautiful expressions of love, expressions of friendship, expressions of creativity, all kinds of things. Because when you're in the flow, there's just a depth. It's like you're being carried by a tune of a music, like a musical sound wave, like, and you're just being carried by it, and it's so easy. It's easy. But looking back on my life, I feel, have I really been honest with my life? Have I really met everything intimately? Have I chosen always to embody from my heart in an intimate way? And then looking back on it, I realize not always. Because when I'm in those states, I'm in that state. And in that state, I'm only as aware or as conscious as that state allows me to perceive or to function. So I'm just witnessing. And witnessing is awesome. Witnessing is great. Yeah. But as time goes on, you realize that things will catch up to you. Whatever you were trying to transcend, whatever you were trying to avoid, to not feel, it's like all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're only surrounded by everything you've been avoiding, everywhere. And you feel like you cannot be you. You have to be in states, in certain transcendent states, to be able to flow, because you feel cornered in by everything that you've been avoiding. This is my experience. This is my my personal experience that I've managed myself to get into. It's a lesson that there's no point in avoiding the inevitable. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, in 10 years, in 20 days, in 50 days, in 5 years, whatever. There's a teacher that said something in the likes of, it's all about sincerity, honesty, and if you really want to start your journey or be committed or real with your journey, you have to stop avoiding anything. Anything. And I'm at this point right now where my ability to lie to people is like taken away. So, in the past, when I would be in certain states, it was very easy for me to witness how there would be a lie coming out because it was in my benefit, because it was avoiding conflict. So small little lies, maybe bigger lies, whatever, lies, stories, or whatever, to not have to face the reality of the situation. Can't believe I'm saying this, but lying, I never understood why I lied. When I was smaller, I lied in school. I remember I lied in school. about about certain things, and I remember it just made me feel isolated and closed off because I couldn't be myself, because the lie was preventing me from being free and being true, accepting that whatever was okay. By putting on a lie on it, there was like a fantasy, an imaginary world that I had to act as if that was real. So I had to adapt to the lie. And I remember this story by a teacher. He talks about this story. So there's a man, a father of 2 children, and he's about to go to the market. And the children, they want to go with him. And he's like, no, you have to stay at home. I'm gonna go for a real quick shopping spree and then come back. Just buy some products. So he told them to lock the doors, to stay inside. They asked him to buy some sweets. Now, he went to the market, and as he was coming back from the market, he saw people running to the house. There was fire. There was the sound, the crackling of wood, fire, the screeching of people. And he didn't realize it at first, but coming closer towards the commotion, he saw that it was his house. His house was on fire. So he ran to the house, but it was blocked. Everything was locked, so he couldn't get inside. He's like, where are the children? Are they out? And the children were still inside. Somebody said, no, the children are still there, but they don't want to come out. So he said to them, please come out. Please come out. You have to come out now. Open the door. And they said, no, we don't want to. And he's like, no, you don't understand. You need to come out. This is for your own safety. And they were like, no, we don't want to. And not knowing what to do, he wanted to break the door down, but it didn't work. He thought, oh, I know what. He told them, oh, I have these sweets for you. I have all these kind of bakery goods and sweets and candies. I bought it all for you. I brought it for you. It's a special treat, but I can't give it to you if you don't come out. So they were like, really? Oh, why didn't you say that before? So all of a sudden, they just ran downstairs. They opened the door and they went out. And then they saw there was no sweets. Took them, he hugged them. They didn't realize that their life was in danger, right? Like I remember this story being told by a teacher, saying something in the likes of, you know, sometimes people, they don't see the harm that they're in, and the only way to get them out of their situation, environment, or conundrum is to do this kind of thing. And I remember listening to that and I was like, okay, I understand. Because essentially, like, there's no good or evil. There's no, in the sense of like, nothing is good or bad. Nothing is good or evil, but thinking makes it so, right? So everything that happens is happening for people to reflect it to people, to make people deal with it, to make people confront it, to make people process it, integrate it, heal it, whatever. But it's always there, right? Everything has value. Now, when I was in these states, these altered state of consciousness, I remember sometimes doing things or saying things that would not in congruity with my like, it didn't feel like it was. I knew it wasn't the truth, but I witnessed myself saying it. I didn't understand, why am I lying? Why am I lying? But then as time went by, I realized, okay, it was for this, it was for this, otherwise this flow couldn't happen. And situations unfolded, relationships unfolded, different things happened, but I realized I was not facing what was. I was not facing it. I was not coming from a sincere, honest place. No, honestly, I was coming from a sincere, honest place in the sense that I had real connection with the people, but the way of almost like, I don't want to say manipulating, but almost like tricking or using tricks to get through a certain phase, through a certain situation, or to not have to show a certain part of myself, to not have to show how unbalanced or confused or troublesome things in my life are, in the sense that they're being ignored, they're not being taken care of. And when you go through all that, when I went through all that, and I look back on my life, I realize it's like a small kid not wanting to live up or take up the responsibility of the value that his life has. It's like just want to go through it effortlessly, or flow through it, or have somebody else guide you through it, right? There's a time and place in my life where I really felt happy and alone and full of joy and wonder. It was when I was doing the headspace meditations. Remember it, and there was a pack in it, like a month or a couple of weeks, where every day you would do a scanning meditation and a breathing meditation, and then so it was like a 10-20 minutes meditation in total with these different aspects, and then at the end there would be an inquiry. How would you feel if you knew that today was your very last day? Or who or what would you miss the most if you knew that you were no longer around? So after settling the mind, after coming in relaxation, and it's like the ripples of the water are stilled and everything's just still inside. And then you drop in that kind of inquiry. It's like a drop, and you see these ripples. All of a sudden emotions come out, associations come out. There's a kind of spot that's being, I remember that was being touched inside of me that was so true. Like, this is what I really feel. This is what I really value. And I remember being in that state. I was so in love with everything that was happening. Everyone that was happening. Everything that was happening. I was just so in love. It's interesting that when you're in that state and you think you have nothing to gain, because I would notice that my ambition, my desire to do something, to achieve something, it would diminish away, because I understood there was nothing to get there. There was nothing to get anywhere because it was only this moment and whatever I'm witnessing, whatever I'm lucky to see, to experience, to feel, to touch, to, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if people ever understood me. Like, I know people often said that I was mysterious, that, yeah, I guess we always project onto people our own projections. Like, what's this saying? We see people and things not as they are, but as we are. Yeah. You know, my life, it feels like it was just an experiment. Like a way of seeing what works and what doesn't work. It felt almost like, well, it felt like there were always more possibilities than I allowed myself to see. And in the failure of my ability to reach my full potential or express my full potential, there was the realization that everything that happens according to a certain kind of like, if I look back on my life, I see that it was so inevitable, the way things progressed, the way things were just evolving. You know, there's a worst case scenario, a best case scenario, and there are times where there was commitment, there was times where there was giving up. I've been inspired by so many people, like small meetings, small interactions, small sentences, small moments where I just witnessed something. Yeah. My biggest wish is that the potential of every human being is actualized in a loving, sincere, communal way. Like, there's so much competition and so much you against me, or I have to be better, or I'm not better. Like those kind of precepts, or those kind of conditionings, ways of thinking, ways of seeing things. They're programmed into us, right? Consciously or unconsciously. And it's sad because it doesn't allow us to lift each other up. You almost have to like find your own niche where maybe if you're lucky, you can find a group where you can really lift each other up. But yeah. The community is seeming to work so well and so much order. But if you look at the subtle level, you can feel what energy is coming from. You could feel what's keeping the things in place. Okay. Have a lovely day.